Welcome everyone. In this week's episode of Hidden History, I will be discussing the amazing maps and flags of Great Tartaria. Although the landmass of Tartaria seems to have been erased from history and somehow conveniently forgotten, there are numerous maps which clearly show that Great Tartaria politically and spiritually existed. Additionally, there are many documented accounts which travelling Europeans recorded from the 13th to the 16th century. From 342 BC and onwards, the environmental transition which contributed to the destruction of the Scythian Empire likewise meant Great Tartaria would become fully established. In 458 BC, the political basis of Great Tartaria was collectively founded. During 1586, the civilization of Tartaria or Tartary was politically and scientifically developed, and the Griffin Flag of the Tartarian Empire and the Owl Flag of Great Tartaria were designed. However, over many centuries, the unity of that civilization steadily fragmented. The civilization of Great Tartaria would continue to exist until 1894. After 1922, the remnants of Great Tartaria was then made into separate republics, such as Tatarstan, which is now part of the Russian Federation. The vast landmass of Great Tartaria extended across northern Asia, where the civilization bordered Siberia. Extensive towns and cities were constructed with integrated telluric electricity capacitors, which meant the urban settlements brightly sparkled in the daylight and shone during the night. The fascinating landmass of Tartaria was recognised around planet Earth as the mystical environment from where the supreme kinds of spiritual knowledge would consistently be derived from. It would seem the Tartarians lived amongst giants who inhabited the Tunguese region and the Koragi region of central Tartaria, where many urban settlements that displayed architectural designs that geometrically enhanced, shaped and directed the vibrational resonances of somatic patterns of harmonic bliss and peace for the Tartarians. Throughout vast geographic expanses of Great Tartaria, there were numerous towns and cities which continually absorbed the ever-present telluric electricity from the atmosphere. For the Tartarians, such telluric electricity-based lifestyle was truly heaven on earth, and of course this meant the Tartarians could progressively create their golden empire, which then became revered and venerated in many countries on planet Earth. Whilst the famous merchant and explorer from the Venetian Republic in northeastern Italy known as Marco Polo travelled into China and elsewhere on the Asian continent from the 13th to the 18th of April in 1292, he actually produced the first map of Great Tartaria. Marco Polo travelled along the Silk Road between the 15th of October 1271 and the 14th of August 1295, and then arrived back in the Venetian Republic of northeastern Italy. This means he would evidently have seen the vast buildings of Great Tartaria during his travels across Eastern and Central Asia. The manuscript that recorded the adventurous travels of Marco Polo is called the Book of Marvels of the World, 1302. In the Italian language, the manuscript is called Il Miliani, or the Million, which was the name Marco Polo used to describe his pursuits. However, in the English language, the manuscript was called The Travels of Marco Polo, 1302. The document was originally called the Devisement du Monde, or the Enjoyment of the World. Even though the elites and their secret societies do not want anyone to know that Great Tartaria politically and culturally existed, numerous maps were produced, which confirm that Great Tartaria most definitely ruled much of planet Earth. Where these are coming from is interesting, as they have appeared all over the internet in the last 10 years. On the 20th of June 1493, the humanist physician and historian from the city of Dusseldorf in western Germany called Hartmann Leopold Skedel produced a map of Great Tartaria. His map was printed in his book called The Chronicle of the World 1493, the complete and annotated Nuremberg Chronicle. During the 23rd of April 1572, the revered cartographer, geographer and cosmographer known as Abraham Gellion or Tilius produced his map of Great Tartaria. His map appeared in the book called The Theatrum Operis Terrarum, the World Theatre, on the 14th of March 1626, and on the 8th of October 1651, the famous cartographer from England called John Edward Speed produced an enhanced map of Great Tartaria that he called the Neue Mappe of Tartaria. During the 12th of September 1665, the renowned cartographer from the city of Gouda in western Netherlands called Frederik de Witt published his map of Great Tartaria. He specifically based his map upon the cartographer Hendrikus Hondius the First. The map of Great Tartaria was printed in the books they published called the Magni Mogni Imperium, the Great Mughal Empire. On the 17th of February 1690, the cartographer, publisher and geographer from Paris in central France called Alexis Hubert Gelliot produced a map which he called the New Map of Great Tartaria. After the first mud flood reached its most destructive stage in 1740, it meant that subsequent maps would therefore begin to display many changes. During the 16th of August 1790 and once again on the 25th of March in 1824, the engraver and printer called William Rowland Faden produced a map which displayed a clear distinction between Great Tartaria and Chinese Tartaria. On the 13th of June 1814, John Morris Valence and James Wilfred Thackeray produced maps of Western and Eastern Tartary. Each of them published the map of Great Tartaria in the manuscript called A Map of the World from the Best Authorities. Because the second mud flood reached the most devastating phase in 1834, this meant future maps of Great Tartaria would also start to look different. We must remember that by the 27th of October 1852, the Russian Empire had taken over much of northern Tartaria, and the Chinese Empire had taken over a large part of eastern Tartaria. This is why by 1852, Great Tartaria had been reduced and was represented by the Tartarian Republic, which borders the Caspian Sea. So when the third mud flood occurred in 1892, the majority of Tartarian Aryans had already been subjugated to rulership from the Russian Empire for nearly 40 years. During the 16th of December 1852, the map printer from the United Kingdom known as Henry Teasdale published the map of Great Tartaria in the document called Russia in Asia and Tartary. By the 27th of May 1920, all that was left of Great Tartaria was the Tatar Autonomous Soviet Socialist Republic in Western Russia. According to Greek mythology, across the landmass of southern Hyperborea, the bitterly cold peaks of the impassable Rhiapian Mountains were fiercely guarded locations of Boreas Olympus, the north wind deity, whose chill breath brought wintry conditions to the landmasses of southern Hyperborea. Its peaks were inhabited by gold-protecting griffs or griffins, and its ravines, valleys and dells were protected by the fierce Hyperborean cyclopses, or beyond the north wind round-eyed beings that were also called the Erimopos, or single-eyed beings. The very elusive griffs, or curved beings, or griffins, were considered to be highly regal creatures, which lived during the time of classical Greece. Such life forms were tasked with protecting the rich deposits of gold in the Caucasus Mountains of Great Scythia in northeastern Europe. The tribe of griffins that dwelled in the Rhipaean Mountains protecting the gold had Pacific enemies, namely the Erimopos, or single-eyed beings, who battled them for these riches. Hence, the Griffin Flag of Tartaria came to symbolise their purpose as protectors of valuable artefacts or relics made from precious metals. It is believed that the Greek poet known as Hesiodus Kyriakou, or Hesiod, seems to be the first individual to mention the griffins. At a later time, versions of the griffins were described as the protectors of the gold of Vedic India. The elegant griffins were frequently used as an ornament in prehistoric artwork. Further to this fact, the earliest known artifact of a griffin is engraved on a bronze dish which the Samian Greeks from the Greek island of Samos crafted around 649 BC. The Greek island of Samos is located in the eastern Aegean Sea, just off the coastline of western Anatolia. The uniquely displayed owl flag of Great Tartaria actually depicted the owl upon a bright yellow background. For the Tartarian Aryans, the owl symbolised the keeper of advanced knowledge from the etheric vibrations of the astral plane. The actual emperor of Great Tartaria contained a griffin on a bright yellow background. Culturally, the communities of Tartarian Aryans believed the owl represented the keeper of arcane knowledge. Hence, the owl also symbolised the development of the occult technology, which the Tartarians proficiently manufactured. Everything about the owl designates it as the kind of life form which is able to travel into the astral plane. For the Tartarians, the presence of an owl also represented spiritual bliss and emotional happiness. Many cultures believe the owl is a symbol of bad omens and evil, which has connections to ceremonial magic, the astral plane. The most famous example of a document that contains the Griffin Flag and the Owl Flag of Great Tartaria is the Book of Flags 1705, known as Karel Fredebald Allard, that was published in Amsterdam on the 24th of October 1705. The very unique looking imperial Griffin Flag of Tartary has obviously become visibly associated with the Tartar flags. The cartographic book called The Expression of the Seas Flags of the Universe States, published in the city of Kiev in Ukraine on the 15th of April 1709. The book was developed and edited with the Pacific participation of the Russian Emperor, known as Pyotr Alexeyevich Romanov, who became Peter I, and more commonly known as Peter the Great. Many publications used to contain the imperial Griffin Flag of Great Tartaria. In the cartographic book called The Bowls Naval Flags of the World 1783, created and printed by the famous engraver publisher Henry Carrington Bowles in St Paul's Churchyard in central London, UK, the imperial Griffin Flag of the Tartarian Emperor and the Owl Flag of Great Tartaria are clearly displayed. The engraved cartographic manuscript called the French Royal Navy Maritime Flag 1787, that was also called the French Royal Navy 1787, the Maritime Flag, was produced by the engraver and printer known as Robert Pierre Bernard in Paris, north central France. Both the imperial Griffin Flag of the Tartarian Emperor and the Owl Flag of Great Tartaria are displayed in the manuscript. Even though much of Great Tartaria has disappeared, the incredible looking Tartarian griffin is used on the coat of arms of the Crimean Republic in western Russia and the Altai Republic in southern Russia. Additionally, the Tartarian griffin is used as the Griffin flag for the town of Verkhyaya Pishima in the Sverdlovsk Oblast in western Russia. We must remember that even though Great Tartaria has disappeared from history, the Griffin flag of the Tartarian Empire has largely become a symbolic form of reference. The actual Tatarstan coat of arms for the Tatarstan Republic even now has a Griffin flag that displays a white griffin inside a red circular dot background. Hence, the symbolism of Great Tartaria has been culturally honoured by the Slavic Russians and the Turkic people, but conveniently removed from the public domain. Thank you for watching, everybody. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next week.